In this video we are going to use Ansible Tower to configure some managed servers. So let's have a quick look at the Tower workflow. That is not a workflow resource, by the way, but it's the order of events that you need to do in order to work with Tower successfully. First, you need to define an organization. Then you need to create an inventory. Optionally, you might want to work with users and teams as well, but we will cover that in a later lesson. For now, we keep it simple and we do everything with the admin user. So create an inventory is the next step. Then you need to configure credentials. You need to set up a project. In the project, you are going to make a connection to the Git repository. Next, you use a job template and then you are going to run the job. Sounds easy? Well, there's a couple of things that you need to pay attention to. Let me show you in the next demo. So you might be surprised seeing the control host again, but there's a reason for that. And the reason is that we have an etc host and I need my etc hosts on Ansible Tower as well. Is that possible? Yes, of course. Ansible is just an administrator workstation where you are going to perform tasks on the managed assets. And I am going to use either the control host or the Tower host. It doesn't really matter where I go to. I mean, the playbooks are idempotent anyway. What I need to do is very simple. I need to make sure that this etc host is available on Ansible Tower. So I am going to use an inventory file. And in my inventory file, I need to identify the Tower machine. So there we go, Tower. And then I can use Ansible in an ad hoc command. On Tower, -m copy, -a, src is etc host, destination is etc hosts. And is that enough? Well, we need to say something about credentials as well, right? At least we need -u Ansible. Well, I don't know if we need -u Ansible because I have an Ansible.cfg that has the user set up by default. And you know what? Let's just give it a try and we will analyze the error and see if anything is going wrong. And nothing is going wrong, which is because the Ansible Tower machine has been set up previously. Remember the lab at the end of lesson 2? That's where we did it. So no need to do anything else. I do need to check though. And in order to check, I'm using Ansible Tower -a cat etc hosts. I'm taking benefit of the fact that the command module is the default module, so that I can just put -a cat etc host to see the contents of etc host. And there we go. On Ansible Tower, we now have an etc host that identifies Ansible 2 and Ansible 1 and all the other managed assets. And that is exactly what I need. So let's move over to Tower. Here we are on the Tower machine. There is one more thing that we need to take care of before we can actually start using Tower. And that would be the configuration of the Ansible management account. So I'm using su-ansible to log in as user Ansible. And I am going to use SSH keygen to generate a public-private key pair. And then I'm going to use SSH copy ID to copy my SSH key to Ansible 1 so that we can actually manage Ansible 1. I'm starting with Ansible 1 and Ansible 2 and we can take care of the rest later on. For now, this is enough. So we should be in a manageable state. The host is manageable. In the host we have a target user, we have a password, we have SSH keys, we have privilege escalation which already was set up. Tower should be able to connect. So let's get back to the Tower web interface and move through the different resources in order. So I'm starting with the inventories. In the inventory I am creating a new inventory. And let's call it my inventory. And in this my inventory, what else do we need? We need an organization which is set by default. That is okay. We need to put hosts in there, but hey, this is telling us we need to save before creating host. That's something you need to get used to when working with Ansible Tower. Before you can actually use the resources, you need to save the resources. And then you click on the hosts, and then you can click your plus. And in the plus, I am going to add ansible1.example.com. And whoop, clicking save, and we can see it's added here. Then I'm getting back to the hosts, and in the hosts, I'm adding this other host, which is ansible2.example.com. Clicking save again, and that will build my minimal inventory. It's a minimal inventory, but it's good enough, and I don't need to do anything else. Do you see this, by the way? Once you are completely done, you can even get an overview of completed jobs to verify how your jobs have been running against this inventory. But we don't need that right now. I need my credentials. The credentials is where I am going to set up Ansible Tower to manage my managed hosts. So I'm creating my credentials. The organization, that should be the default organization, not much choice here. And then the credential type, that's the important one. There we have the credential type. On page number 3, we have the machine credential type. So I'm selecting machine, I'm clicking select, and then we are going to specify how we reach out to the managed machines. Well, I'm going to reach out using the username Ansible. And next you can specify how you want to connect. You can put in your SSH private keys. You can also put in your password. That doesn't really matter. The thing is that even if you put in your password right here, it is stored in a secure way. Prompt on launch, that is what you can use to prompt on launch if you want to make it even more secure. Next, we can see the private key and all the private key stuff. We don't need no private key stuff. We do need privilege escalation because we want to tell Ansible Tower that this Ansible user needs escalated privileges using sudo. And the privilege escalation username, I'm not going to save that here. The privilege escalation username, I'm not going to select anything here. I am just going to type root. And the privilege escalation password depends on how you want to do it. You can enter your password here and cache it securely in Ansible Tower, or you click prompt on launch. It will go both ways. Next, click save, and after clicking save, you are good and you are ready to continue. So what are we going to do next? We have credentials, we have an inventory, so we need to configure our project. So the project corresponds to a Git repository normally. And in this project, I am using my project, just doing my whatever. Organization is already set to default, that's good. And SCM type, that is where I'm going to select between the different options. If you select manual, you can store your playbooks locally on Ansible Tower. That's really advised against, don't do it. Most people will be using Git. So I'm going to use https://github.com/sandervanvugt/tower. I have a dedicated project directory for this Ansible Tower environment. And I don't need any credentials or anything. The only thing that I need to do is, I need to save it. And if I want, I'm clicking update revision on launch. Hey, did we already cover the hover over buttons? Here you have the question mark. If you click on it, you see what exactly it is. And you see these question marks are everywhere. So SCM update means each time a job runs using this project, update the revision of the project prior to starting the job. That involves more work. You know, my Git repository is not that dynamic, so I'm going to skip it. And I'm just going to click Save. Next, it's time to go to the template, also known as the job template. This is where the actual work is going to happen. So in this template, I'm creating a job template. Workflow template is very cool as well, but we will talk about that later. For now, it's just the job template. So my template is what we are going to do. The job type is run. The inventory, well, here I'm going to select what I want. I want to use my inventory. Next, the product, that is the connection to my product, because otherwise I don't know where to find my playbooks. And next I have the drop-down list to get me a list of all the different playbooks that are available. So what do I want? I want vsftpd.yaml. It's a relatively simple playbook that will install vsftpd. I do need credentials as well, because otherwise Tower cannot connect to the remote machines. These credentials are very important because this is the Ansible user account making contact with the remote machines. The rest of everything we see here is just about performance related options. And this right here, these options, these are optional. If you have set privilege escalation, for instance, by default, then you don't have to do your privilege escalation again because it's already a default setting. An interesting one might be the fact cache. What is that? Well, you know, every time we run a playbook, facts are gathered. And if you are going to gather facts, that takes time. So if you want to speed it up a little bit, then you might want to enable the fact cache. Unfortunately, there are no options to further manage the fact cache, so you should make sure that you are working against an up-to-date fact cache. So better be safe than sorry, and let's just turn it off for now and just save the job template and run it to see if it works without all the fancy options. That's something that I would really advise. If you want to try out these fancy options, that is okay. But first, you verify that it works without these options as well. So I have saved my my job. So I'm going to launch it, and we are going to see what is happening. So here we go. You can see the play is running, and of course we need to be patient a little bit. It has automatically entered the SSH password and the become password. As you can see, this really looks like what you would normally see in Ansible engine as well, including the time that it takes to gather the facts and to run through all of these steps. Right here we can see the blinking green ball, and this blinking green ball is telling us that it is still busy. And oh no, I'm getting a task install vsftpd ansible 2.example.com. This command has to be run under the root user. Too bad, too bad. Let me get back to the job template. If it's telling me that this command has to be run under the root user, then I need to get back to the templates. And in the templates, I need to change stuff. And what do I need to change? Well, I'm going to enable privilege escalation. And while enabling privilege escalation, we are going to run it again. I mean, if it's complaining this command needs to be run as the root user, then apparently the generic privilege escalation option is not enough. So we need to do it again, and that is what we are doing right here. And now we can see with the privilege escalation, it's doing so much better. So install vsftpd, enable vsftpd, create readme file. With this, the tower job has completed successfully. So we can get back to the main page. In the main page, we see the different hosts. We see the recently used templates. And you can click the recently used templates. You can click the host to see whatever it is that has happened. So inventory, look at that. We have Ansible 2. Oh, apparently Ansible 1 was not involved in this playbook. You want to see what has happened? Well, just click on the host where you can see the completed jobs. And in the completed jobs, you see my template, the failing one, the successful one. You want to know what exactly went on? Here you go. Here you have access to the logs. And do remember, if you don't have enough information here, just increase the verbosity level and you will see much more up to anything that you would like. All right, at this point we know enough about Ansible Tower basics. This should get you there. This should allow you to run basic jobs in an Ansible Tower environment. In a later lesson in this course, you will learn much more about Ansible Tower and advanced usage. For the complete picture, do not miss that lesson. The lesson number is lesson 12.